In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on November 7, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. UCF versus Houston. Friday's weekly Big 12 showcase takes us to Florida, where the Houston Cougars travel east to challenge the UCF Golden Knights. Friday night football tends to deliver chaos and unpredictability, yet in this case, there appears to be a clear gap in overall performance between these two teams. Both programs are coming off losses and searching for redemption after frustrating outings last week. UCF fell apart on the road against Baylor, losing 30-3 in a game that never found rhythm. That result marked the Knights' 4th conference defeat, with their lone Big 12 victory coming at home against West Virginia. Ironically, West Virginia is the same team that stunned Houston last week in a game the Cougars were favored to win. That loss handed Houston its 2nd conference setback and effectively ended any outside shot at a championship run. As a result, the Cougars enter this matchup as only slight favorites on the road. These two teams share history from their Conference USA days. Across 11 meetings, UCF leads the series 8-3 straight up, including victories in the last 3 contests. Their most recent encounter came in 2023, when the Knights won by 13 points as 15.5-point favorites. Since that time, both teams have joined the Big 12, and while their programs have evolved, their styles remain rooted in similar identities. UCF continues to emphasize the running game, leaning heavily on tempo and ground production, but that strategy has faltered lately against stronger defensive fronts. Houston owns the 5th best run defense in the conference, and that will likely shape their plan for Friday night. Expect the Cougars to crowd the line of scrimmage, force UCF into passing situations, and use their athletic front to create pressure and disrupt timing. Houston has been one of the conference's most efficient road teams this year. The Cougars stand undefeated away from home at 4-0 straight up, winning by an average of 14.8 points per contest. That consistency has fueled optimism within the locker room, even after the tough loss to West Virginia. A win here would put them in position for a strong bowl berth, which remains a motivating goal. For head coach Dana Holgorsen and his staff, the emphasis will be on returning to fundamentals, minimizing turnovers, and controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides. UCF enters the game in need of a reset. Their showing against Baylor was one of their weakest of the season, especially for a team that had extra time to prepare. The Knights looked undisciplined, committing turnovers and mental mistakes that repeatedly stalled drives. Coming off a bye week, such a performance raised questions about focus and execution. If those same issues appear again, the result could be lopsided. Houston ranks 23rd nationally in turnover margin and 30th in penalties per game, 2 categories that highlight discipline and consistency. UCF will need to reverse those trends quickly to stay competitive. Defensively, Central Florida remains capable. Their unit has the talent to keep games close early, and that should help limit scoring in the first half. Houston, however, has shown the ability to separate late in games. The Cougars convert on 3rd downs at a steady rate, ranking 48th nationally in that category, and capitalize on red zone trips, ranking 12th in scoring percentage. UCF struggles in both areas, ranking 123rd in 3rd down conversions and 103rd in red zone efficiency. Houston, sitting at 7-2 on the season, still has tangible goals ahead, including the chance to secure a higher postseason placement. The players remain confident in quarterback Connor Weigman's leadership and their ability to rebound after a sloppy performance last week. The primary issue for Houston in the loss to West Virginia was turnovers. The Cougars gave the ball away 4 times, a margin that rarely leads to victory, especially for an offense still finding its rhythm. Even so, this is a unit showing steady growth as Weigman becomes more comfortable directing the attack. The Cougars' offense has developed greater balance and timing, which will be important against UCF's defense. Statistically, the Knights rank 20th nationally in total defense, but that strength did not show in their most recent outing. Baylor gained over 400 yards and scored 30 points despite pulling back late after building an early lead. That breakdown exposed vulnerabilities, particularly against well-coordinated offenses that can sustain drives. Offensively, UCF's biggest concern is inconsistency. Their scheme has looked predictable, lacking variety and tempo. Against a Baylor defense that has struggled for much of the season, the Knights could not generate sustained momentum. Facing a Houston defense that ranks among the better units in the conference, those offensive issues could persist. The atmosphere at the Bounce House will help, as UCF's home field environment is one of the most energetic in college football. But execution, not emotion, will determine whether they can keep pace. Houston's defensive front has been effective in creating pressure and forcing quarterbacks into hurried throws, a factor that could tilt the game in their favor if UCF cannot establish early rhythm. Momentum and composure often define road performances in the Big 12. Houston's track record in those situations this season provides reason for confidence. Their defensive discipline and offensive balance match well against UCF's recent struggles. The Cougars' approach should emphasize sustained drives, careful decision-making, and leveraging field position advantages. UCF's path to victory requires near-perfect execution and a clean game from start to finish, something they have yet to demonstrate consistently. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Cougars to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The last 3 meetings between these teams each ended with totals above 60, but only one surpassed the projected over. As Big 12 members, both have adopted more structured, defensive-minded play styles, which has driven scoring totals downward. Offensively, neither team ranks in the top half of the conference in scoring, while both defenses sit in the top 6 for scoring prevention. UCF's recent offensive performance highlights those limitations, as they managed only 3 points last week against a defense that ranks 13th in the conference. Their run-heavy system controls tempo but limits possessions, leading to extended drives that consume clock without generating high totals. Houston's offensive profile also supports a slower pace. The Cougars have scored 27 points or fewer in half of their conference matchups, including 2 of 3 on the road. Their defense, meanwhile, has kept games competitive by limiting big plays and forcing opponents to earn every yard. The matchup projects as a low-scoring first half, with both sides focused on field position and clock control. The under has hit in 5 of the last 7 meetings between these programs, which aligns with how both teams currently play. Defensively, Houston and UCF both excel at creating disruption. UCF ranks 48th nationally in havoc, while Houston ranks 60th, reflecting active secondaries and disciplined fronts. Both teams also excel on third down defense, with UCF sitting 17th and Houston 29th. Time of possession further reinforces this defensive balance, with each ranking in the mid-40s nationally, suggesting methodical offensive pacing. Given the way both teams struggled last week, neither is likely to seize full control early. The game will likely unfold as a physical, evenly matched contest with momentum shifting gradually rather than dramatically. Sustained drives and red zone efficiency will define the flow rather than explosive plays. The defensive strengths of both programs point toward a tightly contested and lower-scoring matchup throughout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Northwestern versus USC. The Northwestern Wildcats face a demanding test on Friday night as they head west to California to take on the USC Trojans. This matchup carries weight for both programs as the regular season nears its close. Northwestern enters the contest with a record of 5-3 overall and 3-2 in Big Ten play. Their most recent outing, a 28-21 loss to Nebraska in Lincoln, revealed both their resilience and their limitations. Quarterback Peyton Stone completed roughly half of his passes and threw 2 interceptions, struggling to find consistency against pressure. Despite those mistakes, the Wildcats fought back from a 21-6 second-half deficit, tying the game in the fourth quarter before ultimately falling late. That loss ended a streak of strong performances, but the Wildcats showed the fight and composure that have defined much of their season. USC stands ranked 19th nationally with a 6-2 overall record and a 4-1 mark in Big Ten play. The Trojans secured a 21-17 road win over Nebraska last week, rallying from a 14-6 second-half deficit. Quarterback Jaden Mayava completed 9 of 23 passes and threw 1 interception, but the ground game carried the offense. Running back King Miller rushed for 129 yards and 1 touchdown, powering an offense that produced 202 total rushing yards. The Trojans' ability to respond when behind reflects the experience and athleticism within the roster, though inconsistency remains an issue, especially in the passing game. Northwestern has built its season on toughness and disciplined football. The Wildcats opened Big Ten play with a 34-14 loss to Oregon, yet they covered the spread and used that outing as a turning point. Since then, they have won 4 of their last 5 games, including an impressive 22-21 victory on the road against Penn State, a result that ultimately led to the firing of head coach James Franklin. That win showed Northwestern's poise and defensive grit in tight contests. USC brings a high-powered offense into this game, but its defense has shown vulnerability against physical teams that control tempo and attack on the ground. The contrast in style between the Trojans' quick strike offense and the Wildcats' measured approach makes this matchup a clash of pace and control. In time of possession, Northwestern ranks 9th nationally, while USC sits 59th, illustrating the difference in offensive rhythm. Northwestern's commitment to sustaining drives and protecting the ball has helped them stay competitive even against more talented opponents. Their running game has improved steadily, and the defense has been reliable at keeping scores low. The Wildcats began the season slowly, opening with a loss to Tulane, but since then have found form, winning 5 of 6 before last week's setback. They have also been strong against the number, covering 5 of 6 games, with the most recent result counting as a push. USC's talent edge is clear, but that advantage has not always translated to dominance. The Trojans barely escaped with a win against Nebraska, who lost their starting quarterback in the 3rd quarter. That game exposed some weaknesses on both sides of the ball for USC, particularly in offensive rhythm and defensive communication. For the Trojans, there is little margin for error, with ranked opponents Iowa and Oregon looming on the schedule. Head coach Lincoln Riley must ensure his team avoids looking ahead. Northwestern enters off a bye week, which provides both rest and valuable preparation time. The Wildcats will aim to simplify the game. Expect them to lean on their running attack, shorten possessions, and limit Stone's exposure to risky throws. Their offensive philosophy revolves around creating manageable 3rd down situations and minimizing turnovers. Against Power 4 opponents this season, Northwestern has not scored more than 22 points, but they have remained competitive by forcing opponents into long drives and avoiding costly mistakes. This formula, relying on the ground game, strong tackling, and sound situational defense, has been their path to success all year. USC's offense, meanwhile, ranks among the most explosive in the nation. The Trojans average 302 passing yards per game, good for 10th in the Football Bowl subdivision, but they now face one of their toughest defensive matchups. Northwestern secondary ranks 14th nationally in pass defense, allowing just 173 yards per game through the air. That matchup, USC's prolific passing attack against Northwestern's stingy coverage unit, will define the tone and tempo of this game. Northwestern's defenders close well on the ball and rarely allow easy completions, forcing quarterbacks to stay patient. The Trojans will need to execute cleanly and sustain drives rather than rely on deep shots. For Northwestern, this game represents more than a challenge. It is an opportunity to move closer to bowl eligibility. The team's steady improvement and preparation time could help them create problems for USC's passing game. Their defense has proven capable of frustrating explosive offenses by tackling in space and forcing short yardage situations. With an extra week to prepare, Northwestern's coaching staff will likely have crafted a detailed plan to slow USC's tempo and keep the Trojans' offense off the field. As our first pick for this matchup, the Northwestern Wildcats to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Northwestern's strategy revolves around controlling tempo, and this game should be no exception. They have no desire to engage in a shootout, especially against one of the country's top passing offenses. Expect the Wildcats to rely on their rushing attack and short passing game to eat up the clock. Their strong pass defense complements this approach by limiting quick scores from the opponent. Nebraska's performance last week offered a blueprint on how to slow USC, emphasizing physical defense and tight coverage on the outside. Northwestern's personnel and structure fit that same model, which could help them dictate pace. The Trojans are built for explosive plays, but Northwestern's offense is not designed to match that style. The Wildcats average 283.3 yards per game, relying on patience rather than speed. They allow only 304.1 yards per game on defense, and their secondary remains a major strength. Mayaba's recent struggles in accuracy and decision-making could be magnified against this disciplined defensive unit. Northwestern's week off gives them added preparation to identify tendencies and adjust coverages accordingly. Trends also favor a lower scoring outcome. Northwestern has gone under the total in 5 of its last 7 games, while USC has stayed under in 3 straight. Both teams have demonstrated defensive consistency, and Northwestern's preference for controlling time of possession reduces the number of total plays in a game. When the Wildcats execute their game plan effectively, opponents find fewer opportunities to build momentum. This matchup has all the traits of a physical, possession-focused Big Ten battle. Both defenses have the tools to limit explosive plays, and both offenses will need to earn their points through sustained drives. With Northwestern's strong coverage and USC's likely focus on establishing balance, the tempo should remain steady throughout. This contest should hinge on execution, discipline, and clock control rather than offensive fireworks. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Tulane versus Memphis. A marquee American Athletic Conference meeting headlines Friday night as the Tulane Green Wave travel to Tennessee to face the Memphis Tigers. Tulane arrives looking to steady the ship after an ugly setback at UTSA. Turnovers told the story in that loss. The Green Wave gave the ball away 4 times, with 2 interceptions from Jake Retzlaff, 1 interception from Brendan Sullivan, and a lost fumble by running back Javon Gordon. The defeat removes any realistic college football playoff path, yet Tulane remains 3-1 in American Athletic Conference play and can still position itself for a conference title shot with a win in Memphis. The stakes are clear, the margin for error is not. Memphis counters with momentum and a strong overall profile. The Tigers sit at 8-1, and their late rally against South Florida 2 weeks ago revived their case to be the postseason Group of 5 representative. They followed that comeback by taking care of business at Rice, covering the 14-point number while holding the Owls to 212 total yards. Quarterback Brendan Lewis left late with a lower body injury, and while his status drew questions, the recent pattern points to availability. The same doubt surfaced before the South Florida game. Then he played. With practice participation on Monday, expectations lean toward Lewis being ready to go. Market sentiment tilted toward Tulane early in the week, but several matchup and situational factors pull the other way. This is the second leg of a back-to-back road stretch for Tulane, and travel has not treated the Green Wave well. Against the spread, they are 1-3 away from home this season. Memphis has delivered both straight up and against the number, sitting 8-1 in each column, with home wins over South Florida and Arkansas adding weight to that profile. Since the start of last season, the Liberty Bowl has been a tough place for visitors, and Memphis has made it even tougher with consistent execution. Discipline has been a separator. Memphis has only 1 turnover across its last 3 games, which supports a top 10 turnover margin. Penalties have stayed under control as well, with the Tigers sitting inside the top 50 in penalties per game. Tulane has struggled in that area, ranking 116th in penalties per game. While Retzlaff owns only 3 interceptions on the season, he has generated 8 turnover-worthy plays across his last 4 games, a signal that risk has been rising. That risk finally burned them at UTSA, where he was benched during the blowout. Memphis adds pressure on the back end, ranking top 30 in havoc from the secondary over the last 5 weeks, which can turn hurried throws into takeaways. Red zone performance presents the most striking contrast. Memphis reaches the red area at a top 20 rate and converts at the nation's 3rd best scoring percentage when counting touchdowns and field goals. Narrow the lens to touchdowns only, and the Tigers are first, cashing in for 6 on 82% of trips. Tulane has found the end zone on only 50% of red zone chances. The same theme appears on defense. Memphis allows points on 75% of opponent red zone possessions, while Tulane yields points on more than 86%. In a game forecast to hinge on short field execution, those splits matter. Expectations for Tulane have not matched results. The defense sits 126th in total defense and also 126th against the pass, a tough profile against a Memphis attack that has produced at a high level. The Tigers own one of the better scoring units in the country, ranking 15th in scoring offense, with a total offense figure of 115th that speaks to efficiency, finish, and special teams field setting more than raw yardage. Regardless of framing, Tulane faces a heavy workload on that side of the ball. Context around recent form adds clarity. Before last week, Tulane's record featured only a road loss at Ole Miss. UTSA changed that trajectory, and now the Green Wave must regroup on short rest in a difficult venue. Memphis comes in with 2 straight wins and a clear target: maintain control of a spot in the American Athletic Conference title game. The Tigers' turnover edge sits at +9, with 7 17 takeaways on the season. They are perfect at home at 4-0, while Tulane is even on the road at 2-2. Field position, mistake avoidance, and red zone finish rate all tilt toward the home side on paper. Assuming Brendan Lewis is available, the setup favors a familiar script for Memphis. Expect the Tigers to value possessions, lean on their situational strength inside the 20, and press their advantage with a more efficient and explosive rushing phase when the game compresses. With broader postseason optics in play, they will stay aggressive if short fields or late game opportunities appear. As our first pick for this matchup, the Memphis Tigers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Tulane prefers a methodical offensive approach. They grind the clock, keep the ball, and reduce total plays. That style strips possessions from opponents and limits variance. It has produced results on the betting total, with the Green Waves staying under in 5 of 8 games, including 4 of their last 5. Against power conference opponents, Ole Miss and Northwestern, Tulane stayed under the number as well. Memphis trends lean in the same direction often enough to matter. The Tigers have seen the under hit in 5 of 9 games. At home, they have split their 4 totals, but their defense has tightened, which pairs well with Tulane's slower pace. If the Green Wave limit chunk gains and force Memphis to stack first downs, clock drain follows. If Memphis answers with red zone efficiency rather than explosives, the scoreboard can rise in measured steps rather than leaps. Layer in the recent turnover profile, and the rhythm points to sustained drives instead of quick strikes. Tulane will seek long possessions, inside runs, and safe throws to shrink the game. Memphis will accept shorter fields when turnovers arrive, then rely on a high conversion rate close to the goal line. That combination typically caps total play volume and suppresses late scoring runs unless special teams or defensive touchdowns intervene. Given those elements, this matchup sets up for a measured pace, few free possessions, and long stretches where field position outweighs fireworks. The defensive sturdiness Memphis has shown and the deliberate structure of Tulane's offense both point toward a result that stays controlled across 4 quarters, with third downs and red zone calls deciding the flow far more than explosive plays. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.